You don't get to talk back when you work here. Imagine being told that while trimming hedges under the hot sun, surrounded by million-dollar homes, knowing one wrong word could cost you the only job keeping your family afloat. Imagine being treated like you're invisible until someone wants to remind you that you don't belong. That was life for Diego Alvarez, a soft-spoken Latino groundskeeper working inside Crestfall Ridge, one of those gated communities designed to feel untouchable. Tall stone walls, private patrols, cameras on every corner, a place where residents believed money could keep discomfort out. If you've ever worked somewhere that made you feel small just to survive, tap like, subscribe, and comment the time you're watching this, because stories like this happen every single day, and too many people suffer in silence. Crestfall Ridge looked perfect from the outside. Manicured lawns stretched like green carpets, fountains bubbled quietly. Joggers waved politely, earbuds in, pretending not to see the workers who kept everything pristine. The HOA loved rules: grass height measured, trash timing enforced, silence after 9 p.m. demanded. And enforcing those rules were the HOA patrol officers. Not real police, but they dressed like it mattered. Black uniforms, utility belts, radios clipped high. They walked slow, deliberate, like the pavement owed them respect. Diego had worked there for 8 months. He showed up before sunrise, left after dusk, and never caused problems. He kept his head down, wore the same faded green uniform, and spoke only when spoken to. He needed the job. His mother depended on him, his younger cousins too. The problem started the day one of the HOA officers, Officer Brent, caught Diego taking a water break near the maintenance shed. "You standing around or working?" Brent asked, leaning against his patrol cart. "I'm on my break, sir," Diego replied calmly, holding up his bottle. Brent smirked. "Breaks are for residents." Diego didn't argue. He capped the bottle and went back to work. That should have been the end of it. But the next day, Brent came back, this time with another officer. They watched Diego work, commented loudly about how slow he moved, about how these people always needed supervision. When Diego trimmed a hedge slightly uneven, Brent made him redo the entire row. Residents passed by. Some glanced, most didn't. By midweek, the harassment became routine. Diego was stopped and questioned multiple times a day, asked for ID again and again, even though his badge hung visibly from his belt. His tools were searched, his trash bags dumped out for inspection. Each time the officers smiled like they were doing him a favor. "You should be grateful we let you work here," one of them said. Diego swallowed his pride every time, because speaking up meant being replaced, because silence meant survival. On Thursday, it escalated. While Diego was mowing near the community clubhouse, Brent kicked over the gas can he'd set down. Fuel spilled across the pavement. "Careless, that's a fine." "I didn't," Diego started. Brent stepped closer. "Are you arguing with me?" Diego shook his head. "No, sir." "Good. Clean it. On your knees." Residents were watching now, phones out, conversations hushed. Diego dropped down and wiped fuel with rags, heat burning his skin, humiliation crawling up his spine. Laughter followed him, not loud, but enough. That night, Diego went home exhausted. He didn't tell anyone, not his mother, not his sister, especially not his sister. By Friday morning, Crestfall Ridge buzzed with weekend energy, brunch plans, pool parties, open houses, and right on schedule, the HOA officers found Diego again, this time near the front gate. "You," Brent snapped, "come here." Diego approached slowly. "You been stealing time. We're writing you up." "For what?" Diego asked quietly. That was a mistake. Brent shoved him, hard enough to stumble backward into the gate railing. "You don't ask questions. You do what you're told." Diego steadied himself, heart pounding, fists clenched but unmoving. Around them, the gate stood open, and a black sedan rolled slowly inside. Diego didn't know it yet, but inside that car sat the one person Brent never should have crossed. And before this day ended, Crestfall Ridge would learn that the quiet ones aren't weak, they're just patient. The black sedan rolled past the front gate without hesitation. Brent barely glanced at it. To him, it was just another expensive car, another resident who mattered more than the man standing in front of him. Diego, still pressed against the railing, kept his eyes down, jaw tight, breath shallow. The car stopped. The engine cut. A door opened, and something in the air changed. A woman stepped out, mid-40s, sharply dressed, posture calm but unyielding. She wore a charcoal blazer despite the heat, hair pulled back neatly, eyes alert and observant. She didn't rush, she didn't shout, she simply looked, straight at Diego. "Are you hurt?" she asked. Diego froze. He hadn't expected that voice. He hadn't expected concern. Slowly he shook his head. "I'm okay." Brent scoffed. "Ma'am, this area is restricted, HOA business." She turned to him then. Her expression didn't shift. No anger, no fear, just clarity. "Is it," she asked calmly, "HOA policy to shove employees into metal railings?" Brent straightened, annoyed. He was being uncooperative. The woman nodded once, as if filing that away. "What's your name?" Brent hesitated. "Officer Brent, Crestfall Ridge Security." She reached into her bag, not hurried, not dramatic, and pulled out a leather ID holder. She flipped it open. "Judge Elena Alvarez, Federal District Court." The color drained from Brent's face so fast it looked unreal. The second officer took a step back instinctively. Diego's heart dropped into his stomach. "Elena?" he whispered. She finally turned back to him, eyes softening just slightly. "You didn't think I wouldn't find out, did you?" Diego swallowed. "I didn't want to cause trouble." "That," she said quietly, "is exactly why people like him think they can do whatever they want." Residents had stopped walking. Cars slowed. Phones rose. Silence spread outward like a ripple. Judge Alvarez turned back to Brent. "How long has this been happening?" Brent stammered. "I don't know what he told you, but I wasn't asking. I was giving you a chance to be honest." Brent laughed nervously. "Ma'am, with respect, this is a private community. We handle our own matters." She smiled then, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Private communities," she said evenly, "do not operate above federal law." She reached into her bag again, this time pulling out her phone. "And harassment, assault, discrimination, and abuse of authority are very much my business." She tapped the screen. "Internal affairs?" "Yes, this is Judge Alvarez. I'm standing at Crestfall Ridge HOA gate. I need officers here immediately." Brent's radio crackled to life. Voices overlapped. Confusion spread. "Ma'am, wait," Brent said, panic creeping in. "We can talk about this." Judge Alvarez stepped closer. Her voice dropped, sharp and precise. "You put your hands on my brother." That was it. The second officer tried to slip away. Diego noticed first. "He's leaving," Diego said. Elena didn't turn. "Don't." Police sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder by the second. Residents began talking all at once. Some pointed, others whispered. The illusion Crestfall Ridge lived on cracked right down the middle. When the patrol cars arrived, everything unraveled fast. Statements were taken, security footage pulled. Residents, suddenly brave, came forward. One woman admitted she'd filmed the shove. Another man confirmed the repeated ID checks. A third mentioned seeing Diego forced to clean fuel off the ground. Brent was handcuffed at the gate he once ruled. As he was led away, he tried one last time. "I was just doing my job." Judge Alvarez met his eyes. "No," she said,
You were abusing power, and today you learned the difference. The HOA board showed up within the hour, nervous, apologetic, desperate to contain the damage. It didn't work. Investigations were launched, contracts terminated. Crestfall Ridge's name hit the news by nightfall. Diego sat on the curb, shaking hands clasped together. Elena sat beside him. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I should have told you." She shook her head. "I'm sorry you thought you had to suffer alone." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "You don't ever have to earn basic respect. You already deserve it." By Monday, the officers were officially charged. The HOA issued public apologies. Diego was offered compensation and a new position, one where he wouldn't be invisible. But the real change came from something else. People started speaking up. Workers looked up, residents paid attention, and Crestfall Ridge learned a lesson it never expected: that silence protects the wrong people, and power collapses the moment it's exposed. If this story reminded you that quiet strength is still strength, hit like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from, because the more people who see stories like this, the harder it becomes for abuse to hide behind uniforms and gates. Some gates are meant to keep people out. Others only exist to trap the ones who think they're untouchable.